Trump legal team already at odds with the special master it requested, refusing to provide evidence the former president declassified documents seized from his Florida home. CNN Justice correspondent Jessica Schneider has the latest on the Mar-a-Lago investigation.
Tonight, the special master bringing together Trump's lawyers and attorneys for the Justice Department to hammer out how to proceed with the review of the 11,000 documents taken from Mar-a-Lago, including 100 documents marked classified.
I have the absolute right to declassify. Absolute.
Trump has repeatedly argued he has the power to declassify documents and that he did declassify the documents at issue. But his legal team has yet to make that claim to a court or provide evidence that Trump did so. In a new filing at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals responding to DOJ's appeal, Trump's team has said it's on the government to prove they're classified. The government presupposes that the documents it claims are classified are in fact classified. However, the government has not yet proven this critical fact. But tonight, Judge Raymond Dearie, who the Trump team had a direct hand in choosing, telling Trump's team during the hearing that he may have no choice but to accept the government's claims that the documents are classified if Trump gives no concrete proof to the contrary.
Mr. President!
Trump's legal team arguing it's too early in the case for them to have to reveal any evidence of declassification, since that could be their defense if Trump is indicted. But the special master telling Trump's team, you can't have your cake and eat it. Trump's allies continue to criticize the FBI's search of Mar-a-Lago last month. And now 11 Republican-led states have filed a brief in the 11th Circuit in support of Trump's bid for a special master review, in light of the extraordinary circumstance of a presidential administration ransacking the home of its one-time and possibly future political rival.
No one gets to keep classified information outside of the place classified information should be. But for the Department of Justice to behave the way they did by raiding the home of a former president is absolutely outrageous.
But Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who serves as vice chair of the January 6th committee, pushing back against the idea that DOJ acted politically.
Elected leaders of my party are now willing to condemn FBI agents, Department of Justice officials, and pretend that taking top secret SCI documents and keeping them in a desk drawer in an office in Mar-a-Lago or in an unsecured location anywhere was somehow not a problem. Bit by bit, excuse by excuse, we're putting Donald Trump above the law.
And the next move in this court fight could be from the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. They could be inclined to move rather quickly here, since the special master is ready to review those 100 classified documents that DOJ wants to keep away from him and away from Trump's legal team. And Wolf, in court today, the DOJ attorney said quite simply to the special master that if they lose in their appeal at the 11th Circuit, they are ready to appeal this further, which means this case could go all the way to the Supreme Court, Wolf.
Yeah, that could take a while, too. Yeah. Thanks very much, Jessica Schneider, reporting for us. Let's discuss all that's going on with our senior legal analyst, Elie Honig, CNN senior legal analyst, Preet Bharara, and our chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst, John Miller. Preet, the Trump legal team, they wanted this special master, as he's called, but now Judge Dearie wants answers. What stood out to you from this first hearing today?
Well, a number of things. First of all, Judge Dearie, noted jurist, former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, does not abide nonsense, does not abide illogic, and all sorts of claims that have been made on the airwaves, on television programs, and at rallies. The judge is not satisfied unless he hears explanations brought in court. So, for example, on the issue of whether these 100 documents are in fact classified, even though they're marked classified, he essentially said that the government has made what lawyers call a prima facie case, indicia of classification, and that just about settles it in the absence of evidence to the contrary, none of which has been provided. So I think he made very clear that he's not going to accept circular or silly reasoning or arguments. He's going to get to the bottom of things. He's going to do it quickly on a more fast schedule than Trump's lawyers want. So I think that maybe when they put Ray Dearie on the list of people to be special master, they might have gotten more than they bargained for.
Good point. Elie, the judge also says he has to assume these documents are in fact classified unless the Trump team argues otherwise. So why is the Trump team continuing to dodge this question?
Well, Wolf, they're going to have to pick a lane really soon. Thus far, Donald Trump's legal team has been able to pull off this sort of delicate dance where Donald Trump publicly is declaring loudly for all to hear, yes, I declassified them all. Luckily for me, I declassified. But the lawyers notably and palpably are not saying that in court. They're dancing around it. They're saying we reserve our right. We may argue this later. Now is not the time. But it is now clear, Wolf, that Donald Trump's legal team, probably sooner than they expected, is going to have to choose. Are we going to argue and be able to support in good faith an argument that he declassified, or are we going to give that argument up? I think the special master, Judge Dearie, is going to force that decision on them pretty soon.
I think you're right. You know, John, if Trump did in fact declassify these documents as he's claimed, there would be evidence of that, wouldn't there be?
I mean, to declassify a document, you have to tell the agency that was the originator of that document that it's declassified. You can't declassify your copy and say every other copy in the U.S. government's possession on every computer and every file is somehow classified and yours isn't. So there was no such process followed here.
And it's very interesting, John, because Judge Dearie, he's very familiar with this area of the law, but how does he potentially handle these highly classified documents?
So the simplest thing for Judge Dearie to do, and as Preet said, he is a very experienced judge, has worked on the FISA court, and by all measures one of the most fair and reasonable people on the bench. The simplest thing for him to do is to submit the documents back to the agencies that originated them and say, is this classified still, and is it classified to the extent that it is marked, top secret, SCI, TK, and all of the caveats that go with that. Is it possible that in the intervening time from President Trump leaving office that one of these became declassified? It is possible, but highly doubtful. But why not get the certification from the originators of the document, which would mean that as the special master, Judge Dearie wouldn't have to go through the documents, and neither would Trump's team. Now, something we're stepping over here, and I'll defer to Ellie and Preet on this, is the Presidential Records Act of 1978, which took effect in 1981, which steps right past the classified documents to all the rest, which says presidential records after that time are the property of the public and managed by the National Archive and not the president or former president in this case, which would be a different violation of law. So the special master is going to have his work cut out for him.
Well, let me get Preet and Ellie to react to that. Preet, let me start with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think John is right, and what's implicit in what John is saying is that the issue of whether or not these documents remain classified at the same level that the markings suggest, or they were declassified, or one or two of them were declassified by the former president or the agencies in the interim declassify them, is not the central story here. This is something that is sort of interesting. We're talking about it because it's the litigation that we're seeing that's above the surface, and you know, it's interesting to see the judge say there's gamesmanship going on. But the issue of whether or not these things are classified or not does not get to the fundamental issue of whether or not there's criminal exposure on the part of Donald Trump and others because of the statutes that are being investigated.
Ellie, go ahead.
Well, Wolf, this really gets to the heart of why DOJ is appealing. They're essentially going to the appellate courts and arguing the issue of classification is not for judges, it's not for special masters, it's only for the executive branch, and they're doing that at the cost of delay. It's going to take time to get through these appeals, probably longer than the special master itself, but DOJ is fighting for the principle here, and they've decided that it's worth it to fight for that principle.
You know, Jessica, clearly, I think it's obvious the special master, as he's called, is trying to keep this review moving at a fast pace. But if the Department of Justice decides to take their appeal all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, what would that do to the timeline of their investigation?
Well, right now, these are operating on separate tracks. The appeal on one, the special master is moving forward, like you said. He has until November 30th to complete the review of these 11,000 documents. So far, the district court, so far the appeals court, hasn't taken any action to stop that review. So it is ongoing and moving forward. If a court decides to step in, sure, it will short circuit and stop the review for now. But it's possible these could continue moving on parallel tracks while the appeal happens.
Yeah, good point, guys. Thank you very, very much.